I've actually, it's funny, when I started producing music, I had never been to a concert in my life. I'd never been to any dance music concerts, any rock concerts, so I had no idea really how to make sounds sound big for huge stages and stuff like that. So my whole production career has been a lot of just kind of winging it and just playing shows and seeing what reacts and stuff like that. So it's kind of unorthodox. I know that a lot of people, when they start producing, they go to, they go see Armin van Buuren or Tiesto or something amazing, when they're really young and they're super stoked. I never got to have that experience just because I had a really protective mom who didn't let me go to anything. I just remember there was this one time when Armin was playing in New York in some park, and I was I so badly wanted to go and see him perform, and my mom didn't let me go. And my brother was gonna come with me. He's 4 years older than me, so still bummed to this day. But now that I've met Armin and everything, it's all good, But yeah, I mean, so my introduction to dance music was actually through video games. So I was a huge gamer nerd. I'm sure there's plenty of gamer nerds out here as well. Any hands on gamer nerds? So I played a lot of World of Warcraft and Counter-Strike, which is a big one actually. And it's cool. A lot of people, they used to make videos of them playing Counter-Strike, and there were these amazing videos of these pro players. They would do this for a living and travel to all these places and compete and stuff. This was back in 2011 before it was super popular now. But people would make videos of people playing that, and that's actually how I found dance music, because in these videos, the people making the videos would use trance and cool electronic music. And yeah, that's actually that's how I found it. And there was one that really resonated with me. It was it's called Happy Hardcore. Doubt any of you know what that is. Maybe? I don't know. UK. It's actually UK hardcore, and it's this really super ravey style music that most people that don't know what it is would kind of laugh at it. But I was incredibly serious about it. I loved it so much, and it's just because it's so melodic and just so good. And I still to this day draw inspiration from that style of music. So it's just I'm actually trying to bring that back right now, and I'm working on an album, and I'm trying to incorporate a ton of happy hardcore stuff on there, just because got to do it. So anyway, I actually learned to produce with a friend of mine. His name is Griffin. He doesn't produce anymore. I keep trying to get him to get back into it, but he was a genius, and me and him used to just geek out. And if you can see from the pictures, this is me in my happy hardcore era in 2010, just playing office building raves. Just these random cops would show up and just stop these parties and stuff. And it was just there was probably 10 people there. There's more people here than there were there, if you can imagine. But I don't know, I thought I was just an ultimate boss just doing that stuff. So it was just awesome. And I think that's actually in this shirt right here, there's Borat maybe? Just if you can tell how much of a total nerd I was back then. But yeah, I mean, that's me in the bottom in my bedroom studio, just killing it, just, pre-Tomorrowland, just crushing. And yeah, so those are the kind of the early days. I did just a lot of that, and it was just a lot of experimentation and hanging out with him and just joking around. I think when you start out making music, you absolutely should just totally have fun with it and just make funny stuff, stuff that's even a joke. Take a bit of a movie or something and put it before a drop. If you're making dubstep, find your favorite movie, find a little chunk of vocal that you like that would be cool, and just put it before a drop. That's the stuff that gets real good ideas flowing, in my opinion. But that's what we did. We made a lot of parody stuff. It was really fun. So learning to produce, yeah, that was pretty much how I learned to produce. Finding my sound. So I still to this day don't really know what my sound is. Some people are able to describe. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Some people are able to describe it, and I really can't, to be honest. Maybe it's just because I'm not so self-aware, but oh, thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, I really don't know what it is. I think it's something melodic, and there's I guess some sort of maybe emotion there that I don't know how to describe it, but I guess it's always in the songs. I might have had a few songs that didn't have it, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is. I guess you gotta just I guess decipher it. But finding your sound, it's key to find what inspires you, and really like hone in on that. Like when I started kind of moving from that crazy hardcore stuff into the more trancier stuff, like, because that was the next step for me, was the trance stuff. I started getting really into the stuff that Artie was doing. You guys might know of him. He's like kind of in the same realm as me a little bit. We're really good friends now, which is like, I'll get into that later, but like that was a huge full circle thing for me. And like, I was hugely inspired by what he was doing, because he was doing it way earlier than me. And so like I kind of tried to emulate what Artie was doing, to be honest. Like early on, I was just like, how do I make it sound like Artie, you know? And I think that's totally okay to do when you're trying to learn how to produce music. And then I eventually found a way to like, I found my own way with it and started making more unique stuff. But I don't know, he still always inspires me. And I still always try to sound like Artie, you know? I met him the first time we were in Ibiza. I was playing a show, and that was the first time I met him. And he was like saying the exact same thing to me. He was like, bro, I just want to make Pompeii. And I was just like, that's awesome. Let's do a collab. And then, 3 years later, we finally like released a song together. But I don't know. It's just like, it's just cool to be super inspired by someone. I think if you're starting from total scratch and just like with nothing to look up to, it's really hard to like make completed songs. I think it's like, it's cool to emulate and then make it unique. So that's important. And then I think kind of when in the finding your sound process, like kind of honing in on it is repetition. So maybe using certain elements again to kind of like keep a story to your sound. So like maybe there's like a chord sound like that I used like maybe 800 times. That is like, that I would describe as maybe my sounds. So it's like, I think repetition is cool, but you got to modernize it and make it advance your sound to like make it more 2019. Like something you were using in 2013 might not sound good this year. So that's starting out. Let's see. There's some old pictures of me, just like my first show, looking incredibly nervous and weird, wearing like I don't even know what I was wearing. What is that? Anyway, some pictures. I thought that would be useful. And I don't think anyone's ever seen, so. This guy on the left right here, his name is Mike. He's just an amazing person. This guy booked me for my first show, and it was in Providence, Rhode Island, and he's just like, he's still to this day is so passionate about dance music, but I don't think he had any idea what he was doing when he booked me for the show. So there was like maybe 8 people there, but anyway. So getting heard, yeah. So persistence, like really don't give up. There's gonna be a lot of moments when like, you're probably gonna be pretty discouraged, and like, I still to this day get those moments all the time. It's just, the music business is really, for an artist, is like an emotional roller coaster, I call it. And it's just, it's hard to cope with all the ups and downs. I mean, you have a lot of people that are gonna really support you, and then a lot of people that aren't really gonna support you. And like, you just have to stick around with the people that understand what you're doing. So that's a big key thing. Don't give up. People are gonna doubt you. For determination, I'd say set some small goals and achieve them like one by one. So for me, that was like releasing songs on certain labels. So like that was a big goal for me back in the day. I really, really wanted to release a song on Anjuna Beats. That was like one of my biggest goals. And like I had sent them so many demos. I mean like probably 10 or 20 demos. I was on their forums, like their music production forums, like, yo guys, what do you think of this? Like, you guys like this chord sound? Like, I was just like super like geeking out on it. And like, I didn't have any like shame. I was just on there, just being a little, I was a newbie producer. I'm still a newbie producer, but the thing is, you gotta really set some small goals and try to achieve them one by one. I think that's like a really important thing. Whether that be a label, getting played by some of your favorite DJs. Like, I remember when I got my first song on A State of Trance, which is Armin's show. That was like, by the way, the first like thing that introduced me into the whole trance era of my production career or whatever. And like getting a song on that like was amazing. I remember I was driving to school and like my brother called me and he was like, Nate, I think Armin's playing your song. Like it was like coming in and like he was like transitioning it into the next song. And I was just like, that's insane. So I like turned around and I skipped school that day. And I was just like totally sitting in my chair, just like, yeah. So, that to me was like a small goal, and I hit it, and it led me to more small goals that led to even bigger goals, like releasing a song on Anjuna Beats. Even when they didn't listen to my demos, I just kept sending them. It's just about being persistent and setting a game plan and a strategy. I don't think you always need one, really. I think that you should just kind of do what feels right and just kind of imagine where you want to be in 5 years. Work to achieve that vision. So that would be game plan and strategy. Distribution, I'd say definitely find a label or create your label. Like right now, it's a really cool time to be in music because you don't necessarily have to release on a record label that you might listen to a lot. You can actually create your own as well. And a lot of people are having tons of success with that. I might actually do something like that this year, but it's just kind of like baby stages right now. But I mean, if you start that early and, do something like that early on, I think that it can be a really cool thing. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure like San Hollow, for instance, has Bitbird. I feel like he's been with Bitbird since the very beginning. I could be wrong about that, but don't quote me. But I feel like he's been like, his whole career has been like based around his label that he created. So I think that's like a really cool thing. But speaking of labels, I worked with Capitol Records for 2 years from 2015 to 2017. It was an amazing experience, just pivoting into major label experiences, which I know some of you will probably definitely have eventually. It's definitely unique. I don't know if it's for everyone. I think that major labels bring certain things that you just really can't get on your own. And I think that some people don't need that and some people do. So, if your goal is to release a song on, Columbia Records or Capitol Records or something like that, that's a cool goal, but just make sure it's something you want to do, I want to talk about promotion real quick. Really important. It's super important to spend money on your business. So not necessarily just buying a ton of gear, but maybe it's like, maybe if you start doing a few gigs or something, you release some music, definitely like do something I didn't do and bring a videographer on tour with you and just document what you're doing. It's so important to like show people what you're doing, but also just for yourself. Like it's really cool to look back and like remember like when you were starting out or like some of your early gigs. Like I didn't do any of that. And so like all I have is like just some pictures of like shows in 2014, 2013, 2015. And that's just kind of like, I feel like I missed something there. So my advice is definitely like get someone who's into photography and can take some cool like raw clips or like some B-roll or behind the scenes stuff of you guys just out there in the field, just doing the gigs. So that's really important. And I think right now content is really king. And I think that the more content you have, the better. I think just like be selective, but have a lot of content. So networking, just want to talk about that. I think that's really important. It's something I didn't do early on in my career as well, just because I was like kind of a hermit, wasn't super social. I think a lot of you can probably agree. Like, I don't know how many of you are currently producing music, but I know what it's like to just kind of like get in your studio and just like not have friends. And like I did that for the first like 3 years of my career, I guess. I was just in there making music constantly, but I forgot to like go out and live a life. And it's like so important to do that because it inspires you and it actually clears your mind. And when you go back to produce, you have like, I don't know, a better mindset, I guess. And like, I just started doing that a couple of years ago and it's definitely helped me. It's made me a lot happier. So don't get too obsessed with music production. It's kind of like, it's really easy to, and it's not worth it. So, definitely, as you're coming up, find some other like-minded people, like other artists that don't even have to be making exactly what you're making, but are making music and just like geek out. I just went to lunch with my friend Ryan. He's in a group called Party Pupils, and like those guys are amazing. And Ryan's been my good friend for so long, and like the whole time we just geeked out about like reverb plugins. So it's just like, we don't really talk about anything other than that. And it's like, that's really good because then I learned some new stuff and maybe he learned some new stuff and like he'll go and improve his stuff that he's working on. It's just like, it's just really good to surround yourself with other artists. It's also super fun. Throughout my career, I started doing some like back-to-back sets and stuff like that. I did one with my good friend Blau. He might know him. Yeah. Oh yeah, you were there for it. So yeah, I mean, amazing. It was so much fun. And it's just like, I can't tell you how awesome it is to be like on stage with a friend and just like enjoying yourself. I mean, it's just like the best thing. So like, eventually you're going to do some gigs. Some of you guys are going to get into this and really, do some gigs. Do it with friends and just like, one of them can just like pour champagne on the crowd and the other one can mix. It's just fun. Like, it doesn't have to be so serious. But yeah, anyway, it's just like, just surround yourself with other people that are doing what you're doing. I think that's really, really important. It also gives you someone to lean on. Music industry and music producer problems are very unique problems, and you really need another producer to just to give you advice. Like I ask my mom about music industry stuff, and she's just like, I don't really know what to tell you, Nate. She's just like, she doesn't really. It's never, people that aren't in it, they don't really get it. So like, it's tough. My big break, this is kind of a tough one to talk about because I feel like throughout my career, I've had a lot of breaks, but no big breaks. And I almost prefer that because I know that sounds a little weird. Like I never had like a huge, enormous song just explode. I had like probably, 4 or 5 or 6 like really cool moments with songs. And I actually prefer that because I think that creates longevity and I think that like it's good to show versatility. All the songs that did well are all kind of different in their own way, I think. And so I would prefer that instead of just having one huge hit and then like not having a career 3 years later. I'd rather have consistency and just, be in the game for a long time. I love music and I don't want to stop doing this. So it's like, I like the fact that I've had a lot of like peaks and valleys. It's definitely built me as a character. It's helped me in my personal life, but it's also, it's been pressure management. Like I've never had any moments where I was super overwhelmed. So I'm kind of lucky in that respect. But I think there's definitely a lot of other artists that can relate. Another one I can think of on a bigger level would be like Porter. Like Porter is just like, he's had just a consistently amazing career. And it's like, there's no surprise as to why he's doing so well even now. It's because like, he's just been so consistent. So like, I always try to do that. And I think that's like a good, healthy way to have a music career. Other big things, I think like just talking about big breaks, for those that maybe don't know me, I'd say one of my first big breaks was a song called Wayfarer, and I put it out on Anjuna Beats. Back then, that was like the bee's knees for trance stuff. That was the cutting edge, and then it became not the cutting edge anymore quickly, but that was a big break for me, I think. And then I put out a song called Leaving You on Armada. That was like my first time doing something more in the pop space and like blending pop and this sort of underground dance music, melodic dance music that I was doing. So like that was definitely like me showing like what I was going to be doing in the future. And so Pompeii happened, and that was like a big moment for me too because of the Grammy nomination, which was like a crazy thing. I did not expect it. Like just between us and me, like I was like literally in a hotel in Philly, and my manager called me and was like, he was like silent, and he's like, dude, you got nominated for a Grammy. And I was just like, what? So that was just like, that to me was like something I'll never forget. And I think that like, I just feel really lucky to have moments in my career where I have those, like, I can remember so vividly like where I was when that happened. So definitely, I guess just shoot for trying to build those big moments and don't forget about them. So next would be, roller coaster of emotions. I already talked about that, but I want to just elaborate on that a little bit. Like, just specifically, when you put out music, there's going to be a day where people are going to just come out of the woodwork and they're going to just like love you and love your music and they're going to love your new song. But 3 days later, it's going to be back to normal life. And I'm telling you right now, it is an absolute hard thing to cope with. It's an emotional roller coaster. You feel amazing, and then you're back to real life. And it's like, as an artist, that's really hard to cope with because it's like, it feels like your birthday and then it's not. And then it's like a couple months later, it's your birthday again. And then it's not. So it's kind of just, it's something to keep in mind. I mean, like it's not easy. And if you can actually be conscious of that early on in your career, like you'll be a lot healthier mentally and a lot happier later on in your career. So it's something to keep in mind for sure. You're not alone. Branding, super important. These are really old visuals and I actually still use them. I'm working on new visuals right now, but like, I think it's really key to like create a visual concept or create something that people can recognize you for. And I think that when I came out with these, when I started doing these visuals at my live shows, like this is like 2015, 2016, like these at the time, this is just like a blip of them, but these at the time were like really brand new, this style of visuals at live shows. And like people weren't really doing this very often. So I think that helped me a lot, like develop my brand a little bit. And like what I do next is gonna be an evolved form of this, obviously, but I just think it's important to have some really good visuals right out the gate, if you can. I know when I started, I didn't have any visuals. It was just a logo on a screen, and there was 10 people there. So, you know. It's really like all about the music, for sure. It's key to be yourself. It's key to be active. It's key to know yourself. I mean, you know, when I say be yourself, it's just really easy to get caught up in current trends and just kind of want to just make whatever's popular. You know, like every year I can tell you in dance music, there's been so many phases of what's popular, you know. In 2014 and 2015 and 2013, it was like progressive house. It was Alesso, it was Avicii, rest in peace. And it was like a lot of that. And then 2016 and 2017, like I feel dubstep started to rear its head a bit and become even more popular than that. And then now future bass is like the thing, you know? And it's just like, you can always sort of make music that's like trendy in the moment, but by the time you finish it and by the time you put it out, it's already old and there's already a new trend. So I think it's key to like not really just make what's trendy and to just kind of find something that you would consider as yourself and just make that. And this is something that like I just realized this last year. I mean, I spent the longest time trying to chase trends in my own way, but I never really caught them. And I was just like, you know, like Something Better was like a big song for me. It's a song I did for with Lady Antebellum. And when I put that out, it was like late 2015. And people were perceiving progressive house as kind of like sort of passé. Just from like from an artist standpoint, I felt the vibe. And it was like people were more focused on the bass music and stuff like that, which is cool. But, you know, when I made that song, I made it a year prior, like a year and a half prior. So it's like, I'm glad I put it out, but don't catch trends because you're never going to catch them. It's always key to just make something that's you and be unique, and that will never age. You know what I mean? As long as it's true to yourself. I want to talk about being active. This is something I constantly need to remind myself to do because I never go to the gym. I should, but be active. Like if you guys start touring and start playing shows, like maybe go to the gym as well at the same time. I was just in Denver. This is a really funny thing. I was at a hotel in Denver, and the room next to me, Rehab was staying in, and like I had a night off, and he was playing that night. But like I left my room, and he left his room at the same time, which is like I still think that's weird. And like we started talking, and he was like going to the gym before his set, and I was like, "Are you crazy? Like, I could never do that. I'd be so tired by the time I played." But then like I asked him about it, and he told me like, you know, it gives him a lot of energy, and that's like really cool. So I'm gonna start trying that. But my advice is maybe do that earlier on. I never really did that in my career. Like I should be more active, and it's just like apparently what I've heard, I can't really speak from experience because I'm not that active. Apparently what I've heard is that like it actually helps like the way your brain works as well. And it's like that's gonna lead to producing better music, and it's gonna lead to making better decisions, which is essentially what you're responsible for in this business, is just making music and making decisions, really. So be active. Know yourself, kind of, I think we already kind of touched on that stuff, but like just really know who you are and don't let other people determine who you are and stuff. Know your fans. So this is big. This is something that I constantly struggle with. And I think the reason why is because when I DJ, I play a lot of different styles of music. And I think that I have a fan base that there's just some here, some there, and some in the middle. And when I play a show, they're all meeting together. So it's kind of funny, like, I play some bass music, but I play a lot of progressive house music. And then I play some happy hardcore music, and then I play some of this. And it's like, I love seeing my group of fans because they're all different. I know, like, in the front, there's always those bass music fans that are, like, headbanging, and then in the back, there's people that love the breakdowns and stuff like that. So, like, I like to think of, like, my crowds as, like, kind of like a blend, and, like, I think that's cool. You know, I think it's cool to have, like, a blend of fans. Like, I think that like, introducing them to stuff they're not really comfortable with or used to is, like, a really good way to DJ, and it comes off a little sloppy because it's hard to, like, mix, in my opinion, because I'm not A-Track. I'm not, like, an amazing DJ. But, like, but A-Track is an amazing DJ. Like, you got to go to an A-Track set and just see him DJ. Like, he's just, like, a true DJ. But, like, I guess I'm more of a producer at heart. So, like, in my sets, I play probably 20 of my own songs, you know, and remixes. But when it comes to, like, edits and mixing and stuff, like, it's definitely not as clean as, like, an A-Track edit and stuff like that. And I'm getting better at that still. But, like, it's just key to, like, still, regardless, just mix it in. And even if it sounds sloppy, just play stuff that's, like, all, like, in my opinion, all over the place. I think we live in a time where, like, people want to hear new stuff, like, every 2 minutes. Especially me. Like, when I'm up there, I don't want to play a song completely out. I mean, like, I know that's sort of, like, the trance way of doing things, and I know that a lot of trance artists, like, play whole songs, and that's cool because it's more of, like, a long set, and it's like a story. But I don't know, I guess I like to just fader slam all the time. That's just me. So yeah, know your fans. I'm still learning that. I'm still learning who my fans are, really, and it's like I think that you should never really figure out who they are because they're people that like your music, but like all sorts of other music too, and it's not as simple as it seems. So. Another tip, these are just kind of random actually, it's important to establish a trustworthy team and a team that you can sort of vibe with. When you start releasing music, it's really key to work with someone like a manager or someone who knows how to sort of give you advice and give you a different perspective, because artists in their nature, in my opinion, they see things one way, but there's 7 other ways to see things, and you really need, like, multiple perspectives to make good decisions. And I keep going back to decisions because the hardship of my business and what I do is making decisions. When producing, I'm making decisions constantly. And I'm super indecisive, so it makes it hard to do my job. But it's much better to make decisions that are informed, and having a good team will keep you informed. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes into this career, and it's good to have people that you like, you know, people you would want to, like, just go hang with, you know what I mean? It's so key to make a family out of your business. So that's the cool thing about music, is it is really sort of like a family affair, and it's like, you don't want to work with people that you don't vibe with. It's just key to work with. Maybe it's someone in your family, like your brother or sister, or someone who really understands you on that level, you know? But just create a good, trustworthy team.